The decision justification framework is a structured analytical model that helps investigators turn the disorganized but seemingly important results of an inquiry into a formal, defensible record. By following this structured path, investigators ensure that their conclusions are not perceived as personal opinions, but as objective, evidence-led determinations capable of withstanding legal, administrative, and even public scrutiny. The process begins by clearly defining the issue under consideration. This means setting the boundaries of the inquiry through the mandate or terms of reference. The investigator identifies the specific allegations, the parties involved, and the policies or legal provisions that may have been violated. Before proceeding, the investigator confirms that the matter warrants a formal investigation by determining whether the behavior, if true, would constitute a breach of policy. Clear project objectives guide the investigation and provide the benchmark against which progress is measured. Once the scope is established, the investigator turns to the relevant evidence. A professional report does more than list evidence, it demonstrates informational superiority by showing how the evidence was gathered, weighed, and analyzed. Findings must consider the totality of evidence, including both inculpatory and exculpatory facts. Evidence is categorized by type: testimonial, documentary, digital, and physical, and weighted according to reliability. The report includes an exhibit index and ties every finding of fact to a specific piece of evidence, creating a transparent audit trail that allows any reviewer to reconstruct the reasoning process. When narratives conflict, the investigation hinges on a systematic credibility assessment. Credibility is not a gut feeling, it is a rational evaluation based on inherent plausibility, consistency with prior statements, corroboration by independent sources, and motive to falsify. Investigators must distinguish honesty from reliability, recognizing that some witnesses are truthfully incorrect, genuinely believing their account, while providing factually inaccurate information due to memory fallibility or trauma. Professional standards also caution against relying on demeanor, since physical reactions often reflect stress or cultural norms rather than deception. To avoid tunnel vision, the investigator must actively consider alternative explanations. This involves developing multiple working hypotheses, including rival or contradictory possibilities, and testing each one against the evidence. Occam's razor guides the process by suggesting that the simplest explanation that fits all known facts is usually the correct one. A hypothesis is eliminated if any critical component is proven false. For example, if badge logs show the respondent was in a different location at the relevant time. Analytical reasoning is the cognitive map that explains how and why the evidence led to a specific conclusion. Investigators move iteratively between deductive reasoning, which predicts results from known causes, and inductive reasoning, which infers causes from observed results. All conclusions are evaluated against the balance of probabilities standard, the 50% plus a feather test, which asks whether it is more likely than not that the conduct occurred. Throughout this reasoning, the tone must remain neutral and factual, avoiding subjective characterizations or any suggestion of advocacy. The findings of fact represent the formal determinations for each allegation. These are typically categorized as substantiated, unsubstantiated, or unfounded. Findings should be presented as tight, chronological snippets where one fact logically builds on the next. The report focuses on whether conduct occurred, not on making legal determinations such as harassment or theft, which are left to decision-makers or legal counsel. The framework also requires the investigator to communicate the confidence level associated with each finding. This may involve assigning subjective probabilities or truth values. A high truth value indicates strong support from admissions or direct evidence. Moderate confidence reflects probable indications supported by circumstantial evidence, and lower confidence acknowledges that the finding meets the standard of proof, but rests on more fragile or contested evidence. Confidence is distinct from the standard of proof. A finding may meet the balance of probabilities while still carrying moderate confidence due to unresolved credibility challenges. Confidence in the methodology itself grows when the investigator follows established processes such as the PEACE model. Finally, the report must transparently record any remaining limitations. These may include intelligence gaps, missing time and timelines, or residual uncertainty where key questions remain unanswered. If results are inconclusive, the investigator documents the specific reasons why accounts remain deadlocked. Obstacles such as witness reluctance, limited authority to access personal devices, or resource constraints must also be noted. Every major tactical choice and its rationale should be memorialized in a decision log, creating a permanent record of the investigator's cognitive process and the limitations encountered. By following this structured framework, investigators produce findings that are clear, transparent, and defensible, findings that demonstrate disciplined reasoning rather than personal opinion, and that stand up to scrutiny wherever they are examined.